I'm Melissa Shanahan, and this is the Velocity Work Podcast, episode number 41. This podcast is for attorneys who are running their own firms. We explore tactics, tools, and stories related to pushing past simply lawyering well and into building a successful firm. Working in your firm and working on your business are two very different things. This podcast focuses on the latter. Well, hello, my friends. Welcome to this week's episode. We are in the 40s, episode 41. Pretty soon we'll be to 50, and we should probably think of something fun to do on episode 50. In any event, welcome to this week's episode. Before we dig into today's topic, I want to remind you that tomorrow, if you are listening to this in real time, tomorrow is the class that I'm teaching called How to Trade Being Busy for Actual Results. And I can't tell you how excited I am. We have a lot of people signed up for this. Last time I checked, which was yesterday, there were 90 people signed up, which is fantastic and amazing. And it just means, I like this platform of teaching a class this way. It just means that all this information people will be able to walk away and implement and start to operate in a better way day to day, week to week, so that they're producing results and they're really getting momentum on the business work and creating the business and the life that they love. So I'm really excited. It is essentially a prescription that I'm going to be offering, but I'm really going to go into it and help people understand why, like what is behind it, not just a, hey, go do this. No, like part of getting people on board is to understand why you do things that way. Like what is the deal? Right? And so a lot of this is going to be about just the human brain, how the human brain works and how we need to start to override in certain situations. And I think you're going to get a lot of insight from the material. You're going to have a really good base understanding of why the concepts I'm presenting are so important. And then you'll have essentially the concepts and a bit of a prescription that you can take back and start implementing. And I want to remind everybody, if you're listening to this and you're like, I know I've listened to productivity stuff before and I just never follow through with it. I especially want you to show up for this class because I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised at the material that's presented. And a huge focus inside of Velocity Work for clients is progress, not perfection. It's not all or nothing. It's not black and white. And I'm telling you, if you really make an effort with implementing what I'm teaching, you will be blown away. You will blow your own mind at what's possible for yourself. So show up. Now, with that being said, so if you want to sign up for that, velocitywork.com/results, you can sign up there last minute. Get in. Okay, let's get into today's topic. The title of the episode is Difference Makers. And I'm going to give a little backstory here. The original title of this podcast was going to be, Who Do You Need to Thank? And that'll still be a part of this podcast. But I changed the title to Difference Makers. And here's why. There are times in our life when you look back on your life, if I asked you, who were the difference makers in your life? You would inevitably have a handful of names maybe of people who extended some generosity to you. And because of that generosity, it totally opened up your world or shifted your trajectory or whatever. It made such a difference in your life. And I have experienced that recently, most recently in a professional capacity where I met someone who extended this generosity my way. And, ever since I came back from maternity leave, things have been picking up and Velocity Work is growing and it's exciting. But I met someone who extended this generosity and now it feels like an inflection point for my business because of the generosity that's been extended, because of the introductions that have happened. And everything is shifting and it's shifting very quickly. And we are being over here very deliberate and thoughtful about the growth, but the growth is this inflection point or this momentum that we're experiencing right now is because of the generosity someone extended our way. And I've thought a lot about this, and I've just been in such awe of the generosity. And there are times previously in my life where I can look back and I've just been in this great state of awe at the generosity that's been extended my way. And this is no different. But recently, as I am processing all of it, it's so interesting to really understand difference makers, because I was labeling this person as a difference maker, and the opportunity they provided was a difference maker. But I want to help you understand something that I think will help you maybe show up in a great way and make choices in a great way when it comes to providing opportunities. Every time in the past, when I think of someone, that I've always been thinking of them as the difference maker. When I evaluate those times, I can look at it and I see that they saw in me that if they extended generosity my way, I was going to do something with that generosity. I was going to not bungle that opportunity, let's say. I was going to be a good steward of the generous move that was just made. And so I think you build this credibility with people around you, and that is what makes them want to extend this extreme generosity. Whether that be an introduction, whether that means that they will be your mentor, whether that means maybe writing you a check for whatever reason. But the generosity that is extended is such a difference maker in your life. Now, I've been calling these people in my mind the difference makers. But I want to just throw something out there to see if you can stay with me here. The truth is that the recipient of the generosity is the difference maker. Because if you're thinking of a difference maker as a person, then the recipient is the difference maker. And here's why. The person who extended the generosity, if they extended that generosity to someone who did bungle the opportunity, who kind of squandered the opportunity and didn't really do something with that opportunity that was given to them, then they have made that generosity, it's still a generous act, but it wasn't a difference maker in that person's life because the recipient didn't do anything with it. And I had this realization recently that in those scenarios where people have extended this extreme generosity my way, like the kind of generosity where it brings tears to your eyes when you think about it. When people extend that kind of generosity your way, number one, it's usually probably because they trust you and because they know, or at least they hope, right? They see something in you. They believe in you to do something with that generosity that they're extending. And I don't think it's conditional. I mean, I'm sure that exists out there in the world, but I think when people are really truly generous, they're just giving. But of course they want you to do something with that opportunity. They hope that something comes of that for you. But you as the recipient, you're the one who decides if something's going to come of that for you. You are the difference maker. You are, they give this extreme generosity and you are the difference maker because you do something with that generosity. And maybe that just means you're very responsible with whatever the gift was. Maybe that means that you didn't let any balls drop. Maybe that means that you really took it and maximized the opportunity. But whatever it means, you're the difference maker as the recipient. Now, let's shift gears here for a minute, because I've been talking about being on the receiving end of the generosity. But I also think there's an opportunity to consider where we can be we can be extending that extreme generosity to someone else. And of course, we can give generosity. We could be generous to anyone that we want to. We can be generous to someone we don't know we have no history with, but you see that they're homeless and you're going to extend some generosity, right? And you could do so in a way where you could do so in a way where you hope that the generosity is a difference maker. But you are not the difference maker by extending that extreme generosity. Just like the difference makers, quote unquote, in my life, they weren't the difference makers. They were just extending this extreme generosity so that maybe it could make a difference in my life. And so when you think about being generous to someone else and you providing generosity that could be a difference maker, I really want to encourage you to be thoughtful in a specific way with who you're going to provide that generosity to. Now, I'm not talking about just generous acts. I'm not talking about just random acts of kindness that would be labeled as generous. I'm talking about providing an opportunity, providing an introduction, being a mentor, writing a check that could make a difference, right? Like, I'm talking about the big things that if the receiver does something with it, it changes everything for them. And so when you are thinking about being very generous in that way, be very thoughtful with who you are choosing to be the receiver of your extreme generosity. Do you believe in that person? Do you trust that person to actually do something with that leg up that you're providing? And it's not because it should be conditional, but that's so fun to extend this extreme generosity and be generous, so generous for someone that, and to see what they do with that opportunity is so fun. That is, there's nothing like it. And so the more that I've thought about this, again, the reason that this has all been very top of mind for me is because someone has been very generous for me. And I'm going to reach, I have thanked them for certain aspects, like the things that they did. I thanked them for the introduction. I thanked them for the opportunity, but I'm going to see how this plays out. And I know how it's going to play out because I know that I'm going to take this opportunity that I've been given and turn it into something very huge. And when I am on that path, when that starts to unfold, or when I sort of get to the end of 2020 and I can look back and see what I've done with the generosity they've given me, I'm going to call that person and I'm going to thank them for the generosity that they extended because it made such a difference in my life. And I think that the goodness and this gratitude, this level of gratitude, that if you as a listener, if all the listeners of this podcast could go out and find the right candidate in your mind, right? And have fun with this. It doesn't need to be all so serious, but find that candidate where you're like, okay, they've worked hard. They will work hard. They will continue to work hard. I want to support them. I want to extend a hand. I want to provide extreme generosity. I want to be generous and do it and see what happens. See what they do with it. Don't be attached to what they do with it. If they don't do what you want them to do with it, that's on you, right? But just observe and watch them flourish. Watch them take the opportunity they were given and run with it. And it's so fun. And I think if we can have fun while we're being generous, then why not, right? So the point of this podcast isn't to say only be generous with people that you think will really like take the opportunity and make something out of it. Be generous, have generous acts all day, every day, right? Like whatever you want to do. I'm not commenting on random acts of kindness and daily generosity. I'm talking about the bigger opportunities. And I think we all have the ability to provide those to people. And I think we should be selective with who we are that generous with, because it will serve the world better if you put that generosity in someone's hands that you know they're going to run with it and they're going to turn that into something that is pretty remarkable. And it will be fun to watch that unfold. Just like I think you'll be able to look back on your life and see where someone was so generous, and because of their generosity, you were able to make it such a difference in your own world with that gift. And, I think it's fun to go back and thank those people once this is kind of all played out and you've really done something with their generosity. Going back to thank them is fun, and it's nice to let that person know they may not have any idea what kind of impact they had, right? And so going back to thank them, and then also keeping our eyes open for opportunities where people will flourish, will probably really flourish with the generosity we extend them. I hope this wasn't too out there for you guys. This podcast can get pretty heady. We talk a lot about mindset. We talk a lot about numbers. We talk a lot about just concepts that need to be applied. And I thought that it was a good time to maybe talk about this topic, which is deeper than gratitude to me. It really is about this extreme sense of awe at seeing what someone's generosity has done in my own life. And I know that you guys have those opportunities to do that for yourself as well, and to have fun with providing that out into the world and being very discerning with who we choose to do that with makes it all the more fun. So go out into the world, say a big thank you, big, genuine, heartfelt thank you to those who have provided generosity, and you took it and you made a difference in your own world with it. And go out into the world and start just keeping your eyes wide open for those individuals that you want to extend that kind of generosity towards, and watch it all unfold. Watch what they do with it and enjoy it. All right, everybody. See you next week. Hi guys, it's me again. Thank you so much for listening. If you like this podcast, you probably understand that growth requires results, not just staying active. If you want to learn how to build your days around getting results, I'll show you how in this Zero Fluff class that I teach. Go to velocitywork.com/results for registration information. I cannot wait to see you there. If you want to hang out with us on social, come on over to Instagram. Our handle is velocity.work. And on Facebook, it's facebook.com/meetvelocitywork. Cheers, my friends, to real growth and a great life. Show notes from this episode can be found at velocitywork.com/podcast.